Mike's Daily Podcast.
Podcasting from Podcastro Valentino.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
It's Mike Matthews. Welcome to Mike's Daily Podcast. Had you been having a good week? Is there things you'd like to do cheek to cheek like dance? Do you want to dance? Do you want to dance? Make romance. Hey, it's Mike Matthews and here's my stance on getting up early. I don't like it. Oh, we get the day an extra hour tomorrow.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
That's nice. So I think you should just enjoy that extra hour. Do you know
Mike's
heart attacks
Daily
increase
Podcast
by 10% when we get the hour taken away from us in the springtime, the spring forward. But daylight savings time ends this tonight on the overnight, and we get back an hour. So you get an extra hour of sleep, and apparently heart attacks go down 10% when that happens this time of year. That's a statistic. I don't know where I pulled that out of, but I remember hearing it at one time. Hey, what do you think about texting? People are texting all the time. People giving important information back and forth with texts. I have to tell you, I'm going to print a bunch of little awards, little trophies, and I'm going to put on the trophy a little plaque that says worst texter on the planet, and I'm going to hand those out to some people because there's some people that really deserve them. And we're going to get into texting and textiquette in a bit. I was speaking to someone today about Jennifer Hudson. She's had a very tragic history in her personal life. There's a very hard, terrible story, just a hard to listen to story that involved, I think it was their sister's ex-husband.
And here's today's podcast picture.
And I go into that simply to say that Jennifer Hudson is a bright, shining light despite all of she has been through. What a voice. What an incredible personality. And I don't know if I was talking about the James Corden carpool karaoke thingy that he does. And I was saying that the best one I saw was either the Adele or the Sia one or the Paul McCartney one. But now I add to that, or the Stevie Wonder one. But the Jennifer Hudson one, wow. She belts out and she sings that song from Dreamgirls with such passion in the car as they're driving along. Yes, Basil. I know Dreamgirls was your favorite movie of all time. Basil the Boxer's in the podcast picture today. See it at mikesdailypodcast.com. It was when we went to Mendocino 3 years ago. What a fun trip. We have not been back since. Seems like I never can find time to get away. And that's what happens when you're a manager. You're a manager and people go, oh, I'm going to take time off. Bye, Mike. What? Mike, I'm taking time off this time. And it's a combination of a bunch of people doing it that gets you down after a while. Everybody wants the same time off. And it doesn't matter if it's summer or fall or any season, there's always a time people want off. So I actually have someone who helps me with the whole scheduling situation. I think if you're a manager, you need someone to help you with that. So it shouldn't just all fall on you. But let's just say that person is preoccupied lately with all kinds of stuff. And he's taking every Monday off in the month of November. So I don't know if yours truly has all the help he can get, but we'll see. Tuesday, hopefully he'll help me out. Hey, here's the thing, is not talking about well, if you are a manager, you will find you're texting a lot, texting questions to your employees, because that seems to be the main means of communication, especially with younger folk. Speaking of younger folk and older folk, the older ones, old people, young people, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez said today that people that use the word woke are old. It's not a term young people use. It's an old person's word. And cancel culture, which when you really show yourself to be old, you say canceling culture. but and you call them millennials. Or no, I'm sorry, I said that right. That is the right way to say it. Millenniums. That's what I heard it said. So to show yourself old is to be constantly, as Jon Stewart said, if you are talking a lot about cancel culture, you're talking, if you're against cancel culture, the people that are against cancel culture are talking way too much about cancel culture. It's not that big of a thing. And it just shows that people have a fear of something that they don't know how to grasp. So they just yap about it. Cancel, cancel, cancel. I got kicked off of Twitter. Well, find another platform. There's a bunch out there. May I suggest to you, you go on the internet and find one. What's the internet? Well, so it's not all bad is all I'm saying. But I am saying is that texting is a big thing. So you might find it strange that there is such a thing as texting etiquette for your loved ones. There is. Oh, by the way, see the podcast picture at mikesdailypodcast.com. There's a lot more, it's a lot more relaxed than texting etiquette for coworkers. The goal of using texting etiquette with your inner circle is all about making sure you're sharing information clearly and avoiding confusion. Texting has become a proxy for phone calls in many ways. That doesn't mean you should use texting as a one-size-fits-all communication channel. Instead, you should deliver big news with phone calls, not texting. Important news, like your best friend's engagement or the death of a beloved uncle, should not be announced via text. If you can't share important news face-to-face, do it via a phone call. That is the least modicum of respect that you have to do it. People deserve the respect. A text, someone beloved died. Hey, did you just hear someone died? In a text is completely disrespectful. It's just, but you know what? I say that, and you know it's true. People text all kinds of horrible, horrible news that should be told over the phone. That's probably why people don't ever answer the phone, is they go, oh, this is going to be bad. But keep complex conversations off texting. Texting can lead to miscommunication so easily, as we go outside a cafe anyway, where we bring you Mike's Daily Podcast somewhere in Podcastro Valleyton, the last place on earth. 58% of communication, yes, more than half of communication is done through body language, which you don't get through texting, obviously, or through the phone. 35% of communication is done through vocal tone. That can't be done through text, but can be done through the phone. To an extent, of course, you are getting even though when you connect with somebody over the phone, you are hearing at a much clearer level since it's digitally transformed along the way. And you are getting probably the clearest signal possible at this point, but it is a signal that is way, way clearer than certainly when I was a kid in the 70s. So at any rate, so a lot of that vocal tone is getting delivered through the line. And so 35% of communication is through vocal tone. Then a very small 7% through the actual content of what you're saying. Consider moving heated chats to in-person interactions or phone conversations so there aren't any miscommunications. All this typing and texting and Twitter, all the tweeting and the posts, so much is lost in translation, so much lost in communication. Think about your relationship before you text. When you're not face-to-face, you're more likely to say things that you wouldn't say in real life. It's actually got a name. It's called the online disinhibition effect. ODE. OD. Online disinhibition effect. And that is so true. You hear people texting, or that you read the texts and the posts, and people just feel so uninhibited in what they're tweeting and emailing. It's awful. Trolls. The online disinhibition effect. Before you send a combative comment, consider whether you'd say it in real life. Yeah? Say it to my face. That kind of thing. This is all from heymarket.com. That's H-E-Y, market.com. How you deliver text messages to friends and families is important. You want them to understand what you're saying. You should avoid abbreviations with certain family members. Keep who you are texting in mind. Will grandma understand TTYL or MFFML or whatever? I don't understand any of those. So, LOL. I got that one. Save those abbreviations for your friends if you don't think they're going to get it. Use emojis with nearly everyone. Emojis work well when you're texting most of your loved ones. They add a visual element that quickly communicates the emotions and expressions behind your message. I know somebody who's older than me who uses so many emojis when she writes, and there's always a butterfly involved. So nice. There is the issue that some texts, some phone services, some phones don't get the emoji that you're sending. So you're sending someone an emoji and that person does not see the emoji. They get a little X in a box instead saying it didn't get through. That can happen. Of course, you don't know unless the person tells you, hey, I don't know what that emoji was. Add GIFs wherever you'd like. GIFs, GIFs, Jiffy peanut butter. Add levity to a conversation with GIFs. And when chosen well, communicate a clear idea or state of mind. Once again, flip phones are not going to be able to get GIFs, most of them. Feel free to use them to spice up any text conversations. Remember that your recipient needs MMS to receive gifts unless you're using a messaging service like Facebook Messenger. Misspell a word or choose to leave off a period in a text to a loved one? That's fine. You're texting people who know you well. There's no need to nitpick every text to them. You know what? It bugs me if you don't put a period at the end of your sentence. That just shows me you don't care. I don't like it. And I'm a curmudgeon, I know. I got a birthday coming up, I know. But just a little bit of respect. Put a period there, dang it. It's appropriate to text your loved ones at the same time of day that you would call them. After all, texts often make notification sounds on their phones. You wouldn't want to disturb them at the odd hours. You wouldn't call your grandmother at midnight, so don't text her at midnight. If you wouldn't call a new friend at 7 in the morning, don't text him at 7 in the morning. There's exceptions to the rule. If you know that your best friend has her phone on silent overnight, you should feel comfortable texting her whenever you'd like, knowing that she's going to see it in the morning. And then there is the response speed in texting. Response time etiquette changes frequently. Right now, the consensus between experts is that you should respond within a day or two. That's how texting is, a day or two. You can take your time. According to this, that with a loved one, not a coworker, not a colleague, but a loved one. If the sender of the text is asking a timely question, you should send a response quickly. Your best friend may be fine with you waiting a few hours to reply, but holding off on responding to someone you started dating may make them worry that you're ghosting them if you're in the middle or, leading them on. If you're in the middle of something, you should hold off on texting. At the end of the day, everyone understands that you're not glued to your phone. So with coworkers, it's a little different. The consensus between experts is that you should respond within a day or two. That's a little tricky when it comes to texting colleagues. You should not feel pressured to answer coworkers on the weekend. During the week, however, you may want to consider answering texts by the end of the workday. Again, responding to a text after a few days with a quick explanation, especially if you're texting a higher up, is a good best practice. This is from Sophia Honeycutt. She is Haymarket's lead writer, producing everything from articles to ebooks. And there is from haymarket.com. All right. We're outside a cafe anyway, somewhere in Podcaster Valley, to the last place on earth I gotta get really early tomorrow morning to take the feral cat that has been visiting us to a feral cat organization, charity, who is going to have this feral cat fixed. And I'm hoping everything goes okay. I'm a little worried, even though he's a feral cat. He's a nice feral cat, and I don't want anything bad to happen to him. But Mikey's going to get fixed. That's something bad that's going to happen. That's going to be good for the cat community as a whole, even though he won't be whole anymore. But it'll be much better off doing my part for the community. But I'm just hoping everything goes well because he's a sweet cat. And he was in the last podcast picture, not today's podcast picture, obviously. Look who's here. Hello, my commercial. It's Madame Rootabega. And yes, I love waking up early. Oh, you love waking up early? Yes. Do you have breakfast really early? Yes. Do you have malto meal? No. Yeah, malto meal. I don't know. I forget what that tasted like. That was a big thing for a while. Look who else is here.
Hello there, Mike. This is Valentino, the parking attendant.
And this is Bison Bentley. Do you know that?
Mike, you was talking politics in the last podcast day.
Yeah, politics. Do you know that? Well, a little bit. It was, the whole, where do we go? Where do we learn from elections, the last elections? And at the end of the day, I don't know. I mean, there is just the whole, I find it fascinating, all the conspiracy theories regarding the election a year ago, and where the Republicans lost the presidency, yet the Republicans won big time in our election last week, and there's no voter conspiracy. And did you hear any Democrats say, election voter polls conspiracy? Nothing. You heard nothing. As for the whole the dossier stuff, and they've arrested somebody in the whole dossier world, that's fascinating, and that's a bit of an unraveling that I've yet to see more about. But it's interesting that the FBI made this arrest. Yet the FBI is criticized, and much to the joy and the happiness of many conservatives, and to the chagrin of many liberals. But yet, there was a time the FBI was scorned by the Republicans. So I don't know. FBI never makes anybody happy, it seems, except for now. They made the Republicans happy again. They're on the good side. So that's a whole bit of the dossier and talking about the links that Trump had with Russia and all of that. And what was it all falsified? Is there no truth to it at all? We shall see. But right now someone is arrested for lying about the contents of that. That was big in the news. But this is not a political podcast. It's a podcast about trying to do things better in life, make things better for everyone as a whole, and hopefully teaching you a little bit about text-etiquette helped in some way. Next show, it'll be the wonderful Chely Shoehart, Floyd the Floorman, and John Deere the engineer. I know I put the comedy the comedy thing on this podcast. I know I'm not a comedian. I hate brick walls. I hate as a whole, brick walls are wonderful. They keep our houses up and buildings. But standing in front of a brick wall with a microphone in my hand does not make any sense to me. I don't want to do that. Does not sound like fun. However, I did find it interesting. My lovely lady friend, who got me watching all the James Corden videos, and then also she did the whole thing where today she's watching jump cuts, quick edits of all of these performances of the national anthem by famous pop females, of course, including Whitney Houston. There was Faith Hill in there, Ariana Grande, and the whole thing. It didn't have the whole song. It just had the one part. It was interesting to me, the two parts that it stuck to. The one was that part in the middle of the song, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, and then it jumps to, and the land of the free, and then some people go, and the land of the free, and they take it a notch higher, and some people just go crazy with it, and the land of the free, pew 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 pew, lasers, pew, and it just jump cutted those two parts in the performances of several pop singers. And basically what you come away from that is everybody's just trying to imitate Whitney Houston and how she did the national anthem. So there's really no, ever since she did it, a friend of mine said this to me. He goes, they might as well just play the Whitney Houston version, just play it off of a recorder, off of the CD, and never have anybody sing the national anthem again, because nobody could match her after that. They try, they imitate her, they try to one-up her, but, you know, what can you do? There's the original, and then there's everything else. Well, thank you so much for listening to the show, and wish me luck with the thing I'm doing for the cat community, and then we'll meet here again soon. How about that? That sounds good for me. For you, I don't know. Could get a lukewarm response from you on this. Lukewarm? Luke the Worm?
Mike's Daily Podcast is written and produced and performed by Mike Matthews. His podcast is super easy to find. Download or listen to his show and read his blog at mikesdailypodcast.com. Email Mike now at mikesdailypodcast@gmail.com. See you tomorrow. Bye!